And welcome to Inside CBP. I'm Michael Pope. The CBP Office of International Affairs is a critical part of U.S. Customs and Border Protection's mission of keeping terrorists and their weapons out of the U.S., securing and facilitating trade and travel, and enforcing U.S. regulations, including immigration and drug laws. To assist in this mission, the CBP Office of International Affairs works closely with other nations of the world in partnership to secure our economy and way of life by securing the borders from beyond. Working directly with the current administration in Mexico to assert greater control over its borders, U.S. Customs and Border Protection creates an unprecedented opportunity for partnership with its Mexican counterparts. Both governments have come to recognize the growing threats to their national interest posed by criminal elements engaged in widespread smuggling of drugs, weapons, currency, and illegal migrants, often resulting in violence along our shared border. In an effort to confront and contain these threats, the governments of the United States and Mexico have embarked upon an ambitious collaboration to assert greater control on both sides of the border. This partnership promises to improve enforcement efforts and curb violence, while still facilitating the huge flow of trade and travel between these neighboring countries. CBP provides its Mexican counterparts with resources, training, and technical assistance to achieve its security goals. Recognizing the growing importance of CBP programs in Mexico, in 2009, the CBP Office of International Affairs created a separate Mexico division dedicated exclusively to managing and coordinating all CBP assistance activities in Mexico. This Mexico division, assisted by the CBP attaché stationed at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City, serves as this focal point within CBP. Here with me to discuss this vital relationship is the CBP attaché in Mexico, Leslie Lawson, who is here in Washington from her office at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City. Thank you for taking the time to be with me here on Inside CBP. First question, CBP has 21 attaché offices around the world, and your personnel are stationed mostly in embassies. For the general public, what is a CBP attaché and what do you all do around the world?
Well, first and foremost, the CBP attaché is the commissioner's representative within that country. That is our primary responsibility, to advocate for CBP, our objectives, our goals, and what we want to accomplish in that country. Secondly, we are also the subject matter experts on immigration and customs matters for the ambassador within that country. So whenever they have a question about that's CBP related, they would come to us for the subject matter expertise and how to make decisions and how to interact with the government. And then thirdly, we actually offer services to the public. If you've lost your lawful permanent resident card and you need to travel back to the United States, we can actually provide that service to give you a transportation letter. We answer a variety of questions on the customs and immigration front.
Now, you are in constant contact with the Mexican government in this position.
Yes.
With all of the issues of border violence we hear about a lot about, and of course the drug situation, the weapons that are crossing outbound into Mexico, along with money, currency, the illegal immigration piece as well. What role do you play as a CBP attaché officer in Mexico to help curb some of that?
We play a vital role right now. I'm not sure if you're aware of Plan Merida, which is a multi-billion-dollar aid program to Mexico to assist them in improving their security. And CBP plays a very large role in that because of our shared border. So what we do there is we engage many, many agencies within the government of Mexico in improving their security posture, in providing them the equipment and the training that they need to better work with us and to meet a higher standard for security. They have really looked to us for assistance. They're very open to the assistance that the United States wants to provide them because they understand that we have a shared commitment to secure our own borders, our shared border, plus to provide greater Western Hemisphere security as well.
Now, the security issue is obviously a major piece in your relationship with the government, but Mexico is one of our largest trading partners. What does your office do to help facilitate the good flow of trade that comes out of Mexico into the United States?
As you mentioned, the trade is a very large part of what we do. Mr. Burson and this administration is committed to facilitating trade and ensuring that both countries together become our economically competitive in the global markets. That is very important. So we have a variety of initiatives that we're working. We're working on the port projects where there may be a trusted shipper program that Mexico currently doesn't have, but we're assisting them in developing. We also, of course, have CTPAT, Customs Trade Partnership Against Terrorism, and we're very active in Mexico in ensuring that the standards are met for the CTPAT program. And that facilitates the trade of those particular companies as they go north. We also are working with Mexican Customs on the fresh produce issue and speeding that process because of the perishability of the individual vegetables and fruits. It's every minute lost is $1 lost, for example. We're also working on harmonizing our paperwork and the electronic filing of the paperwork so that there isn't two sets of paperwork, one for each country. It's all going to be the same, harmonizing in this whole area. So there are a variety of projects that we have, as well as really advocating for new ports. Where do we need new ports? Talking together where we can place ports and harmonizing our construction schedule so that they're both open, both sides are open on the same time, and able to actually inspect the trade that's coming through in a timely fashion.
What would you tell a Mexican exporter? Since this is on the World Wide Web, what would you like to say to them?
I would tell a Mexican exporter to be open to their country's programs and voluntarily help us with that. It's in their own best interest to join the Trusted Shipper programs because it allows us to facilitate that trade. It allows us to concentrate where we need to and give them a quicker, smoother travel through. I would also encourage them to help us think outside of our normal realm, outside of the box, if you will, about what we can do to secure passages of travel, how we can keep their cargo secure, because they know their product, and they can assist us with their subject matter expertise on how to secure their own facilities, their own cargo, their own trucks, etc.
So your office is open to suggestions from the Mexican people as far as trade and travel into the United States. They can come to you and receive that information.
Absolutely, and Mr. Burson has made a point to state in all of his trips to Mexico that we're open to suggestions by the private companies and public-private partnerships that we've never had before, and really working together to solve our issues to secure the border and facilitate trade.
Now, literally hundreds of thousands of Mexicans cross into the United States every day, and they come into contact with Office of Field Operations officers at the ports of entry. And what does your office do to help facilitate that smooth flow of the traveler?
Well, we also have a series of projects that we're working with the Mexican government to extend global entry type programs to Mexican citizens, trusted Mexican travelers. For example, the business people that travel quite a bit. So we have a pilot program. We're working on global entry with them. We also field many questions from the public about how they can cross and what do I need, so that they don't get it all the way up to the border and then just be denied.
And Leslie, lastly, what are some of the major initiatives you're working on there to help Americans and Mexicans exist and travel safely and help our economies?
Mr. Burson has been a very strong advocate for creating a new 21st century border, rethinking how the border is staffed, what we consider the border, the juridical line versus some of the projects that we can do off the border. And under the 21st century border construct, there's many pieces of that. There's, again, the facilitating trade, facilitating trusted travelers. But there's also the security pieces. How do we better manage the risk and work with Mexico to use the same methodologies in managing risk in cargo, in air cargo, for example, and people that are coming into the Western Hemisphere, and how can we work more closely? It's as ambitious an agenda as we've ever had between the two countries. And we're very, very optimistic that we're going to be able to make some fundamental changes to how we think about our borders.
Leslie Lawson, CBP Attaché in Mexico, thank you for sharing your insights and your perceptions and with the relationships our two countries have and will be working on in the future. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here.
And thank you for joining us on Inside CBP. If you'd like to know more about CBP International Affairs and how it's securing our borders from beyond, search International Affairs on cbp.gov. I'm Michael Pope for Inside CBP.